Hello, third grade scientists, and welcome back. Today, we are working in Unit 4, Weather and Climate, and we're going to do a vocabulary review of some words you may come across in this unit to help you think of examples and understand their meanings. So let's get going. We will review together the academic and content vocabulary for this unit of study. We will study word meanings and look at examples to help you understand the work you will be doing during your science lessons this week and throughout this unit of study. So let's get going. Let's review the difference between academic and content vocabulary. Remember, academic, these are the words that you may find in some of the questions or focuses for your lessons. These words can be found across all your subjects in school as well. So learning these words can help you in every subject you're studying in school. The content words are the words that are specific to understanding this unit and this week's science lessons. In other words, they're science-specific words. First, we'll take a look at some academic vocabulary. Your focus question for today is what is atmosphere and what is weather? The lesson objectives are describe characteristics of the air and Earth's atmosphere, identify the two most common gases in the Earth's atmosphere. The words you see I have highlighted in red and here in orange are describe and identify. Have you ever heard either one of these words before? Take a moment before we move on to think about whether or not you've heard or ever used these words before. What do you think they mean? Can you think of any examples where you've used these words before, either in your speaking or your writing? Thinking caps on, let's take a look at what these words mean and think of some examples. Describe. Describe is a verb or an action word. It means to tell or to write about. And another word that means the same thing is report. When you're describing something, you're telling all about it using your words. You may be speaking these words or writing about them. You're trying to get the person that you're telling to get a picture in their mind of what you're talking about. Let's look at how we could describe a very common object that you might even have near you right now. For example, this Sharpie pen. If I wanted to use some words to describe this object, I might say it's a pen, it's a marker, the brand is Sharpie, it has Sharpie written on the side of it, and the color of this marker or pen is purple. Those words describe or tell more about the object. Identify. Identify is also a verb. It means to figure out who or what something is. Another word that means the same thing is distinguished. Let's look at an example of something you may even use every day that identifies you. Many of our devices and phones and tablets have face recognition. In other words, they can identify the owner when they look at the device and it opens up or unlocks the device for them to use. This face recognition technology is identifying or figuring out who is using the device. Now let's take a look at some of the content vocabulary. Let's take a look at some of the important content words for this week's lessons. The words will also be used throughout this entire unit on weather and climate. These are some words you will learn about during your lessons this week and throughout the unit. They are weather, climate, precipitation, condense, and atmosphere. Put that thinking cap back on again. Take a moment, stop, think about whether or not you have ever heard or read these words somewhere before. What do you think they mean, or can you think of any examples? I'm sure some or at least one of these words is familiar to you. So if they have a connection somehow, can that help you to think about what some of these other words may mean if you've never heard them before? Let's take a moment to stop and think. Weather. Weather is a noun. Weather is the conditions outside at a particular place and time. Weather can change from day to day. These are some examples of weather conditions. The weather could be sunny. The weather outside could be cloudy. Raining is also another weather condition. Can you think of any more to add to this list? Climate. Climate is also a noun. Climate is the usual weather conditions in a place. In other words, it doesn't change so much day to day. It's the way the weather is in that place all the time. If I mention Antarctica to you and I say it has a cold climate, when you think of Antarctica, what picture do you get in your mind of what that place looks like? If you're thinking of a place like this that's cold and snowy with very little green plants or trees, and you're picturing it to feel very cold if you go there, you have an accurate picture of Antarctica. Antarctica has a cold climate. In other words, you will never have a hot, sunny, warm day in Antarctica. How about a rainforest? If I mention the word rainforest to you, what picture does that create in your mind? Rainforests have a hot and humid climate. What does that mean? If you're picturing a place that looks like this, that's very green and lush, and you can almost see the steam in the air because of how hot it is, you have an accurate picture of a rainforest. A rainforest will never have a cold, snowy day like there is on Antarctica because the climate in the rainforest is hot and humid all the time. Precipitation. Precipitation is also a noun. Precipitation is the act of water falling from the sky. Precipitation can come in different forms. For example, precipitation can fall in the form of rain, which are water droplets falling from the sky. Snow, which is a much colder precipitation. Sleet, which is freezing or frozen rain falling. And hail, which forms these tiny ice balls. These are all examples of different types of precipitation. Condense. Condense is a verb or action word. Condense is to cause to change from a gas to a liquid or a solid through cooling. For example, have you ever taken a cold drink from your refrigerator and brought it outside, or maybe just had it with you in your house? And after a few minutes, some water droplets, you can feel the bottle start to turn wet. That's condensation. Water droplets can form on a soda bottle, for example, when it's taken out of a cold refrigerator and put in a warmer place. The cold temperature of the contents of the bottle cause the air around the bottle to form liquid water droplets or condensation, and it may look like this. I think this will look familiar to you. That's an example of condensation. Atmosphere. Atmosphere is also a noun. Atmosphere is the gases surrounding the earth. Humans can breathe because of the special atmosphere around the planet Earth. This is an example of the different layers of the atmosphere that surrounds our planet. These were some awesome words. And now that you're familiar with these awesome words, you'll be able to use them and understand them during your learning. And remember, this video is a good resource and tool for you. So use it over and over again throughout the unit whenever you're stuck on a word or want to look at some examples. Remember, you can always come back to this video. Good luck, third grade scientists, and happy learning.